Hi there, this is Willis for the Win on YouTube, and today I'm going to be detailing for you Hardcore mode on Guild Wars 2. Now, I wasn't the original creator of this. I actually found it while browsing through Reddit, and it didn't seem very refined, and it sounded like it was coming from somebody who hadn't played much of Guild Wars 2. So I've gone ahead and refined it and made it a little bit less frustrating so it'll be more fun to play. There are a few basic rules before we get started detailing all the classes' individual rules. The first one is that you must play one of the two races allowed by your class. Every class has a slightly different death limit, and once you hit that death limit, you are no longer allowed to play on this character, and you must delete the character.
Embrace simplicity.
You are not allowed to repair your armor. If it's damaged or broken, you must replace it. Any death, whether it be in PvE, PvP, from falling, or anything, will count toward your death limit. Once you hit that death limit, again, you must delete this character. You are no longer allowed to play on it. You're not allowed to use any of your F key skills, the F1, F2, F3, and F4, with the exception of the Elementalist, who may use F1. You're only allowed to use your 5 weapon skills, your default and basic healing skill, and 1 utility skill. The other slots must remain empty. The 1 utility skill may be anything that costs no more than 2 skill points, meaning that you can only use utilities on the first tier. You're not allowed to use the in-game mail system to claim items. Copper, silver, and gold rewards from events and karma dealers are okay, but nothing from other players. Once and if you hit level 80, you win. So now we're going to get into the different classes' individual rules. We're going to start with melee, and then go into range, and then magic. Playing as a guardian, you are only allowed to play as a human and a Norn. Being a melee class, you do take more damage than others, which is why 7 deaths are allowed. You are only allowed to use a sword as a guardian. Playing a warrior, you are allowed to play as a char and a human. Again, being a melee class, you are allowed to take 7 deaths before you can delete the character. The only weapon type you may use is an axe. No banners may be placed, and no shields may be used. Playing a thief, you are allowed to be a Norn and a Sylvari. Being a range class, you do tend to take a little bit less damage than melee, so 5 deaths are allowed. You may only use a pistol or dual pistols. Shadow Step cannot be used, and Stealth may not be used. As a ranger, you may play as an Azura or a Char. As a range class, again, you are allowed to 5 deaths. The only weapon allowed is a short bow of any kind. You may only use your starting pet. Traps may not be used. Playing an engineer, you are allowed to be an Azura or a Sylvari. The engineer is probably the hardest hardcore class to play, so 7 deaths are allowed rather than 5 for range classes. You can only use a pistol and shield combo, and no turrets may be placed. As a Mesmer, you can be a human and an Azura. 5 deaths are allowed. The only weapon type allowed is a greatsword. No clones may be used, or no shatters may be used. No mantras may be used. The allowed necromancer races are Sylvari and Char. 5 deaths are allowed. The only weapons that may be used are daggers, and wells may not be used. As an elementalist, you can play as a Norn or a Sylvari. The only allowed weapon types are staffs. 5 deaths are allowed. You may pick 2 elements and only use those 2. No glyphs may be used. Here are some tips while playing the game, just to make it a little bit easier. While in game, you may type /deaths at any time to view your death count. If you find that you are at or above the death count, log off that character immediately and delete it. This mode is only to add some more challenge in the game. After winning, hitting level 80, nothing special really happens other than possible bragging rates. I would really like to see if anyone could actually accomplish this. I encourage you to stream or video your character as you play it, but it's not necessary. Remember that this challenge is done entirely on the honor system, and it's encouraged to try and go by the rules. Nobody's watching you or making sure you're playing by the rules, and there's no ultimate prize, so cheating really doesn't help you at all. Remember that this is a work in progress, and it is regularly being adjusted and updated. If you find anything that contradicts itself or doesn't work, please let me know in the comments. I would love any feedback and any revision to make this as easy as possible.